Can't get it away.
That was not my plan. Yep. All right, if y'all are ready, we'll go ahead and get started. You do our communication. I'm sorry. Oh, it doesn't say invocation in here. I'm sorry. Say that.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, it does say invocation on
Mine doesn't.
Sometimes we do, so are you on work session or?
We do that at the regular meeting.
here. I got you. And this has got all my notes on it for today. Okay.
That shot did affect you.
Oh, I blame Andy for putting it on the front page. That was, you know, I told Barbara, if they just don't put it on the front page, I'm good. So. Okay. Any changes to the agenda? And what, did you have something? Oh, yeah. Okay, under unfinished business, I'd like to add a discussion about another bid to sell that Coosa lot. I'm more negotiable now. Well, let's make it the last thing under unfinished business.
You want to do executive session?
We can if you like.
No, no, matter. That's fine.
Well, we agreed before to sell it, we just didn't get any
It's
takers.
okay.
So I'm hoping to figure
Do what?
out. If I could, yeah, not have to pay that annual. Okay. I would make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, for discussion items. Presentation from Carter and Sloop.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Board. At our last workshop, I know we had discussed the Gilmer project that we were looking to apply for the landfill lift station and the transmission line, upgrading those facilities. We can go over some of those details. Just to recap, we had put in a pre-application about a year ago for $755,000 for approved. We've made the list to get 35% principal forgiveness. Once after you make the list, you still have to go before the chief of board and get actual loan documents issued to you. So we're at the point now where the project has been designed, we've gotten some feedback, we're working on trying to finesse those last details. Permits have been sent out, the longest of which is the stream buffer variance. We're pulling the wet well out of the stream buffer, but there's still gonna be some grading work and such that has to occur within that boundary. We submitted documents to the state, I think back in December. A public notice was sent out on February the 2nd. There's a 30-day comment period, which we're in the middle of. And hopefully we'll be getting that permit, I'd say maybe 2 months from now. GFA board meets quarterly. They meet in February, but you have to have documents given to them in advance because they've got underwriting to do. The deadline in order to make the May meeting, which is what we're shooting for, is the end of this month. So we really need the commissioner's blessing in order to submit that application. The application has been provided to the commissioner's office. We got a lot of help from Sandy Holmes on the financial documents that are required to support that application. And I did want to highlight that right now, I think chief rates are at an all-time low. They recently dropped it from September. I think, for example, on the conservation rate, which we're aiming to get right now, they've got the application is non-conservation. I think we can make a strong case with the upgrade pumps that there's going to be a lot higher efficiency. So if we don't get the full conservation rate, we'll at least get a blended rate. But those numbers have dropped by, I'd say, about 0.75% in September. So at minimum, I think we're looking at a 1.13%, and as low as a 0.13%, and that's annual. So incredibly low rates. That's on the 20-year term, and that's what we got about. You can pay it back faster than that. There's no prepayment penalty. In fact, when we did the sewer project, as y'all may remember, there was money set aside in a bond. That project was completed. We used the GFA basically for the principal forgiveness, and then when it was done with, that loan was paid off in full. Okay? So that's kind of the idea here. We'll have 20 years if you decide to pay it back faster. Great, if not. I did want to point out that I went back to GFA and asked if we could increase that 755 just to make sure, to get more of that 35% principal forgiveness if we're working over. They said, listen, your free app is what you need to go with. I know we've also, the chairman has also secured about $286,000 in state allocation money. That can be used. The way we're looking at doing that is like the bonds, applying it on the end. And what that does is that means we can get the 35% principal forgiveness on it. So you almost turn the $286,000 into $400,000 because you're getting the principal forgiveness also applied to it. So that would be our recommendation as far as how to address that. There are some extra things that were put into the project for maintenance purposes. We'll bid it out, the way that county personnel wants it, and if we need to make some adjustments, trim some things, then we'll make those decisions when we get bids. My thought is we would look to try to start advertising bids in May, around the time we hear back from GFA that loan documents are issued, and possibly have a bid opening, I'll say early July, with construction starting maybe in August and going through March. That's kind of the tentative schedule. But I'd be glad to answer any questions y'all have, but like I said, we just want to make sure we have the commissioner's blessing before we actually apply for the loan, because at this point, once you ask the board for the loan documents, they expect you to move forward. That's not to say you couldn't use less of the money or ask for additional loans. Things can be adjusted, but like I said, more than anything, we just want to make sure we have the commissioner's blessing before we
Okay. What do you need from us at this point, resolution? what?
That would be my request, that, yeah, y'all authorize us to move forward. We've got financial information from Sandy. Underwriters may ask us for some more information, that's not uncommon, but, yeah, I would ask the judges to take action, you would authorize us.
Any questions?
I perceive it, I just have not had a chance to look at the more than the land use ordinance, but I'll have it tomorrow night. But I don't suspect there are any issues with it, it's just standard running the documents. And so really what y'all will be resolving is to submit the application form, that what you're needing first.
Yes.
Refresh my memory, we set aside money for the project.
We've got, about 550,000 roughly,
Just one
and
extra.
plus the, 296.
We thought that was to cover the total project.
Well,
Did it increase?
we figured we were a little bit short of the total project with that, but if we can do this and get that principal forgiveness, we'll be in really good shape.
I agree.
Yeah, there were a couple stages. I don't remember where the original number come from. I think that was an in-house number. Our original number was the 755, and I think that's when, the commissioners, or the commission was looking at going after, getting some principal forgiveness to supplement whatever was set aside. But there again, additional money from the state has since also been acquired.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Kevin, you want to update us?
I want to talk a little bit more about our youth basketball program. Our MAC tournaments are taking place right now, which is the combination of about 11 agencies in the North Georgia area. We host tournaments at the end of the season, and more or less are all starting to interplay. But like in our regular season this year, for the past several years, we've been doing player evaluations, trying to get as much parity in our league as we can. And this year was actually the best that we've ever had. We played right at 100 ball games, and 40% of those ball games were decided to go 3 points or less. I'm like, that's how that is. That can be pretty loud. That game's that close. But I'm real proud of that. And then we've had a year-end tournament. We had 4 age divisions. 3 of those age divisions were decided by 3 points or less. And 3 age groups had to go to the what-if game. So there was a double elimination, so it had to be pushed to the final game of the tournament to determine that championship. So that's probably the best basketball season I think we've had. And I'd like to give thanks to the Gilmer school system for letting us use the Clear Creek gym for that tournament. It's a week-long tournament, starts on Saturday, runs all week long, and the championship all week during that following Saturday. So it's a pretty long tournament. We did have in the Mountain Athletic Conference tournament, our 8-year-old boys won it. So they got a good chance to go on the state. If that's the case, that makes 2 consecutive years we've been in state tournaments, they make it. The 10-year-old girls are going to be in the championship ball game tomorrow at Fannin. So we've had a real good showing in that tournament. This weekend we'll be hosting the 12-year-old boys division. That's taking place at Larry Walker Gymnasium. On the weekend of the 19th and 20th, we'll be hosting the GRPA Class C District 5 8-year-old tournament. So the winner of that will go on to Appleton County to play. And the addition on the Clear Creek's going well. We've got all the side and everything like that. We can probably have it finished in the next 2 weeks. So we'll be ready to go for baseball season. And then I'd like to give a thank you to Dewey Card with Bill on Shirt Lane. Every year he signs us up with a program that's dedicated to youth sports, and this year we received $2,500 from the program for Bill Hope Chevrolet in duty, so I get it, thank you. So, got questions?
I do. I'd just like to let the board know that the new football coach, who happens to be an alumni and a friend of mine, is also the athletic director for the high school and is very interested and has reached out already to Kevin to working with our park and rec from the, younger ages all the way up. So that I think that in the future there'll be great, strong relationship between the high school sports and
Yeah,
park and rec.
he's actually putting down word down scheme to his playbook, defense and stuff like that. And we're actually gonna have, his coaches are gonna be working with our coaches, and then just making it one unit from kindergarten all the way to high school.
Very good.
Yes, I see our football program changing a lot. We're also going to a grade base too, so that's gonna, I think that's really gonna help our program. All the second graders can play with the second graders rather than having some second graders want to play with third graders, so it's gonna, just gonna keep from having that gap. And so we're moving in the right direction.
Will he encourage that in all sports? I mean, I know you don't, you may not know that answer yet, but.
Well,
since he is-
GRPA is looking at doing it in all sports, so pretty much what they said, that's what everybody else in the state will follow. The only reason that we want to do it in football is because we don't go to the state level in football. We go to the state level in baseball and basketball, but in football, we just do our Super Bowl here in the Mountain Athletic Conference, Super Bowl, and then the season's over.
But I mean, in the coaching and the other, the basketball, did you mention that, or that even to not just football all the way down in park and rec, but the other sports as well? That was where I thought it was.
It's mainly just football, because like I say, the GRPA sets their age base, which is September 1.
Right, yeah, I understand the grade, I just meant,
Yeah, so
With
like
coaches.
in the Mountain Athletic Conference, if we went by grades, then that would mess up our age base, so then we wouldn't be eligible to go and play in the GRPA state tournament. But as soon as the GRPA changes their guidelines and they go grade based, then we'll probably be able to break it apart in Mountain Athletic. That makes sense.
anyway, I'm excited to see the relationship there grow.
We're actually hosting the Mountain Athletic, the MFL meeting's gonna be next Wednesday here, so I'm hoping that Coach Taylor can join in these segments. I look forward to that.
Yeah.
Thank you, kid. Good night, golf course.
Good morning. Look, you can see there on your Z app that this is going to be a little different than what we had last January. And that's strictly because of memberships. I think I mentioned that last month. But the green sheets and the number of rounds played is up. So that's encouraging going in. After the weather we've had in January, the rounds were up. That's really, really good. So last year we did roughly about 30,000 more, but that was good. So, if we can just get through the next month and a half, everything will be fine. That's what they'll start thinking. So, the tournaments is what they're not calling the schedule. I've got one so far. Normally we already have, this time of year, we already have probably 5 or 6. But with that said, I'm going to meet with the advisory board. We're going to meet with Charlie next month, I think. And honestly, we may need to not have any tournaments on Saturday. The way it was this past year, we would lose so much money with hosting the tournament by what we charge. We just have to see how it goes, and I will let everybody know when they call. We need to have the extended week if we can. Saturday tournament kills us. So, the majority of them know that. I think they'll go on. There's all kinds of days that we have it. And even if the other guys, the main groups, that they can't play that one, particularly they that one up. The ones I've talked about it, and they had no problem at all. So, we'll just draw across that bridge. It is still just a little early, but typically right now we have a few more. As far as the course and projects, we've not started, I'm not going to get on this way this weekend. So when this breaks, I'll be out there. We're going to do it in-house anyway, so we'll get it done in spring this year. And last but not least, the well is got the letter, I think it was last week we got the letter, and everything's fine. We just gotta send the samples in, I think, every 3 or 4 months, and then tell them how much water we're using. They want to see it daily. I'll have a log book, every day I'll have to go out and tell them how much water. No big deal. That's all I need.
Any questions?
And they let us know when the windows.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that, Karleen. I did talk to her the last couple of weeks. Everything's back up. So she said in February we can get some. So we'll see. I'll let you get over there.
Jim, you want to give us an update on public works?
Good morning, everybody. Let me start out with the airport because I think we have finished or in the process of finishing all of our, what I call bureaucratic red tape to keep us eligible for funding. We've done the 5-year capital improvement plan. We have done the consulting engineering selection. We have also finished and are advertising the disadvantaged business enterprise plan that you all adopted last month. That notice is currently running and runs for 30 days, and once that's finished, everything will be in order for us to, for the next 5 years, I'm hoping at least, for us to apply for grants that we have scheduled for 2023, I believe, is the first in the 5-year capital improvement plan that we intend to apply for. The roads and bridges, let me start out by saying to those commissioners that are not aware, we just came out of a 10-day quarantine on Monday. This is number 4 for us during the last 12 months. So everyone just bear with us because we seem to constantly be in catch-up mode. One of the things I do want to make you aware of during the past 2 weeks, we have been involved with Zoom meetings and conference calls with FEMA and GEMA concerning Tropical Storm Zeta. Next Wednesday, February the 17th, we will have representatives from FEMA and GEMA here in the county. I don't know exactly what their plans are as to whether they want to actually review our records keeping and things of that nature, or if they want to see some things on the ground. We're about 75% complete with that cleanup and would have been finished had we not had to go into quarantine. And they understand. The other thing that I want to make you aware of is I believe last week the county received the 2021 LMIC grant money, $661,000, Sandy, is that right? And so that is received. don't have anything other than to tell you that the Apple Road project that was a participation between the county and a private developer has now been paid. I encourage you to go out and take a look. There's a dramatic difference between a single-lane gravel road and a two-lane paved road.
I have, and it looks fantastic,
It
so I
does.
appreciate it.
Yeah. The one thing that I do want to discuss with the commission concerning that is that the area where our paving stopped, going to the Corps of Engineers gate, indications came from the surveyor, Mr. Holt, that that was a lifetime easement, that it's not actually owned by the Corps of Engineers. What I would love to do, now the paving is still in good shape, but what I would love to do, when weather permits, and we do the striping on Holt Road, I would love to extend that striping on up to the Corps of Engineers gate. And Charlie, we talked about it briefly, but I'll be happy to contact whoever we need to contact. And if it became necessary for us to take that section into the county road maintenance section, I'm not opposed to doing that, because it'll just make everything look better and work better if the striping and everything that we do on our mile of Holt Road is extended on to the Corps of Engineers property, to where their property begins.
About what distance is that?
Pardon?
About what distance is that?
Charlie, it's probably about a half a mile. To the gate, going down to the ramp and going to the campground. That's where the Corps of Engineers property actually ends. So on that section of the road, there is actually the subdivision of land and development of a area there that Mr. Holt is in the process of doing now. But it's something that we can think about and work on if the board is agreeable to be able to do that. I understand you have on your agenda some roads that you want to add to the road paving list, so I'll just leave that and move to solid waste. One of the things that I want to point out to you is that if you see the monthly report that we provide to you, our volumes are still growing. January of 2020 to January of 21, we accepted and disposed of an additional 50 tons of solid waste at the landfill and our 6 other convenience centers. So that volume is continuing to grow. Roadside pickup, you also see there the roadside pickup, again, because of COVID, the sheriff's office has not been able to do as much as they normally would be doing because of the fact that, well, I believe Dustin Dover was actually a positive test in the sheriff's office. You've already heard from Kurt McCord and the lift station project. So with the action that you hopefully will take tomorrow night, then we'll be move forward with that, and the schedule, the tentative schedule that we still have that we provided to you will be being able to start construction in about August of this year. That's all I have. Anything else?
Jim, on the roads that we're going to bid paving, are we ready to bid?
We are working on the bid documents right now. That is Boardtown, Round Top, Mount Pisgah, and Holden Road.
So the sooner the better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that something that we'll be able to address at tomorrow night's meeting, or will be looking for March?
We will, I don't think it's necessary for you to approve the bid documents and the advertisement. When we get the bids, then we would come to you asking you to make an award.
So we get that authorized, advertising.
We didn't do that when we approved the roads.
I don't remember.
That's my understanding, Charlie, because all of it will come out of the capital outlay that you have in the special fund.
Or to be safe, we approve it tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just,
Okay.
just make sure that we authorize. Thank you, Jim. I'm going to propose that before we go to the river committee, that we move item 4, discussion of county swimming pool. And kind of, let's get that out of the way and then go to the other things that will probably take a little more time. Oh, you wanna, are y'all okay with that?
Citizen Wisdom School.
Before we go, Lloyd, citizens wishing to speak, anybody that would like to speak on any topic, you know, we had this at the bottom of this, I kept missing it. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Lee Johnson. I'm the vice chair of the Highland Rivers Health Governing Board, as well as ambassador with the chamber, and also a member of Family Connections. The reason I'm here is that last summer, our previous Family Connections Director, Merrill, put a grant together with Morehouse School of Medicine, and I had a itsy-bitsy piece of that, writing, but she did the bulk of the work. We got the grant. And once Tiffany Watson became our new director for Family Connections, we talked about what it takes to implement that kind of grant, the technical knowledge. And we kind of agreed that we'd probably better off to hand it off to a community partner like Highland Rivers to implement the grant, which we have done, and Morehouse is very happy about that. We're happy because we're going to get some programs in Gilmer County that we don't have. They're finishing the MOU and the work plan. As soon as we have those in hand, we will approve. We'll be sharing it with the community, but it really is intended to address the opioid deaths and the disability that results from that kind of addiction. I know personally, and many of you have had individuals that have been trapped in that opioid cycle. we want to make a difference. We want, as we saw coming into town this morning, more and more signs are going up that we need to take back the drugs that we have in our homes, that we don't use, that were prescribed years ago. We're going to do some regional work to get those drugs out of our homes and dispose of it. Because what happens, invariably, somebody finds them, and they don't go for the use that was intended for the person. And we want to stop that part of it. We want to emphasize treatment. We want to emphasize early education in our school system to prevent some of the deaths and the use of opioids going on. So, while Tiffany couldn't be here this morning, I just wanted to carry the message that we are working through Family Connections, now Highland Rivers Health, Morehouse, Piedmont's been a partner in this. It'll all come together a little bit later this year, and we'll take that all happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It has been a,
Adjourned.
yes, and we appreciate all of the work you're doing going forth, and Highland Rivers Health, that's great.
Okay. Anybody else? Then are y'all okay with moving way up to next? All right, Mr. Lawyer, you want to give us your news?
Well, I hope that everyone has a copy of the news. We've got the drawings and the structural calculations. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't read all 38 pages of it, but which we received about 2 days ago, but I think it's pretty well complete. I did hear this morning that someone would like for us to omit the word commercial off of the drawings, which I think can be relatively easily done. But I think that possibly Debbie and I can get together and work up a bid package for what we've got here. So, any questions?
How soon can we bid?
What's that?
How soon can we bid?
As soon as the bid package is developed.
How long is that gonna take?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that the engineer is also going to work with us on, because that was part of the selection, or the invoice services, is that they would, and if they can go ahead and begin that preliminarily, and then we can review it on the backside,
Okay.
that would be very helpful, and it would expedite that. Soon, assuming everything moves forward at a rather usual pace, I would say it probably could be bid, started and submitted for bid sometime in mid-March. Don't you think, Floyd?
Yeah, I wanted your endorsement, but that would be what I would guess.
Yeah, and then it'll run for 4 weeks because it's going to be a public works project. So the earliest that bids probably likely could be vetted and accepted would be somewhere 1st of May, I would suspect. Now again, it may be pulled off sooner than that, but that would be my thoughts as far as your projection, as far as your timeline.
Would it be advantageous, you think, to have a special call session to approve this, or is this going to be close enough to our regular March meeting? That wouldn't be worthwhile.
Tomorrow, y'all could actually go ahead and approve, make a resolution to submit it for bids, and just, based upon, the engineer is going to play a large role in composing that bid, and so as soon as they're finished with it, we can drop it and put it in.
So we can go ahead and authorize it.
You can authorize the advertisement of bids when package is complete. Again, I think you're looking most likely at mid-March 1st advertisement date. You may maybe get a little earlier, but I think that's probably about right where we want to fall.
Okay, any questions on it?
I don't think there's any need to discuss it further, really. Just go keep going on and on.
We did provide you with a set of drawings, so if there's any other questions, feel free to holler at us as far ahead, but we'll try to work on the
Lloyd, before
titling.
Lloyd,
Yeah.
sorry, I don't know if you caught my attention, but before you step away, were there any design modifications that the board needs to know?
I don't think we discussed those at the last meeting, as far as the design modifications. The major thing was that in the original design, the diving well was in the center. We did move that to the right-hand side as you're looking down on it from the Civic Center. And there was a little bit of a design which was basically nothing as far as the appearance, but there was an entrapment which was taken care of. And that's really about all, unless it's somebody else that has some questions. But it's pretty much the design that we originally agreed on about 3 months ago, or that we discussed at that time. But like I said, feel free to scan it over, and if there's any questions, holler at me.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll be going on back to the engineers to work on the bid package.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Y'all okay with bringing this up at the meeting on that?
Yeah, the only disadvantage is when the paper says we've approved the bid package, approved it for bid, then people will think something will happen fast, and it's not.
Yeah, and that's why my recommendation was on that resolution to approve the bid upon completion of the package. But if you can always call a special call if you'd rather wait, and I understand, Hubert, the concern that you may have with the timeline as far as being artificially,
I'll defer to you on that, Charlie.
It's not gonna make any difference in the completion time either way, as long as we're willing to do a special call if we need it, so.
You probably will have a special call to some point with respect to the balance of those land use ordinances. So I would think, the key question is what is everyone's availability probably last week of February or first week of March? Is that a flexible time period?
Just for me.
Yeah, then probably defer it to a special call.
Okay. All right. Discussion and possible action from the River Committee. Discussion one second here. Okay, we received proposed ordinance changes from the committee that we had looking at this. And we're getting to the point we need to actually approve something else so that we can be ready to go immediately on the start of the season. I've got some suggestions that I would like to go out regarding the process, and then we'll add y'all's suggestions and kind of work through it and see where we go from there. The first thing that I would suggest is that we mark up the takeout area and designate certain uses for the space there. That we make a driving lane on the right-hand side as you go in, mark it off. That would be used for only two things. The first would be the buses, when they turn around, could use that space, has a little more room to turn around in. And then And other than that, the residents there would have that space always clear where they can always get in and out of their homes. I'm proposing that we put it in, we divide it into thirds. That would be one of the thirds. The other part would be directly to the side of what we're talking about, that one lane. The rest of that would be dedicated for buses that are coming to pick people up. That's where they park and do their pickup. I would suggest that we then put a small fence straight across, beginning right where the rocks start there at the takeout, and designate that as being the waiting point to be picked up, so that when you come off the river, you stay behind that fence in that area. When the bus comes up, then you get on the bus and take out. But there would be nobody standing around in the area where the bus is parked, or the lane that would be used for travel only. That entails a serious cleanup of the area behind where the fence would be. Such that these people getting off the river that are barefooted, are not going to stick some kind of a growth into their foot there. I mean, we have to clean it up and get it where people can walk on that area barefoot. We'll also need to trim the limbs. Some of those limbs where people can stand up under them and not. They'll be able to have a place to stand without having to duck limbs. So that would be my suggestion for the area that we take out. The second thing I would suggest is that we arrange for security. We have been working with the sheriff on this. I know he had some special situations last year that I think he is fairly confident that this year he'll be able to provide deputies there. So we just need to make sure that that happens. We need security there. We don't need private security. Those folks have no authority to do anything and pretty much get ignored whatever they say to the people coming off the river. We actually need deputies there. It would be my suggestion too that if somebody comes off the river roaring drunk, they just be arrested and taken on down to the jail. For the outfitters themselves, we had talked about this once before, that they have liability forms that they have people sign. They should use sequentially numbered, multi-form liability forms. In other words, when you fill out page 1, there's a page behind it you can rip out as a copy of it. They would continue to collect $1 per person. They would, at the end of the season, turn those forms in, turn a copy of those forms in. They can do it throughout the season if they prefer, it doesn't matter. But based on the number of those liability forms that are turned in, then at the end of the season, they would be expected to reimburse 90 cents for each one of those forms for each person. The other 10 cents, the way it is now, they get to keep it as an administration fee. It is my recommendation on the ordinance itself that be modified to remove the section pertaining to the wristbands and to, I believe the proposed ordinance from the committee currently does have a ban on coolers. I don't recall seeing this in the proposed ordinance, but I would say that we should allow reusable containers of water of some size, I don't know, 32 ounces, whatever will be adequate water for a person going down on that float. And I believe if we do things, we'll have a much better season. So those would be my suggestions. And open it up for y'all's suggestions.
The one other thing we talked about, instead of wristband, was stamping the hand.
Yes, yes. And I'm sorry, I didn't have that down in here, but as an alternative to the wristbands, they would be expected to have their hand stamped, and that would be in essence, the replacement for the wristband would be a hand stamp.
And a different color stamp for each
Yes.
provider.
And we've already looked, those stamps are available, and the different colored ink pads for those stamps are available, so it shouldn't be a major disruption for anybody.
I'm fine with your proposed changes.
Just to clarify, is the county providing the stamps and the ink pads?
No.
Okay, so they're to create their own stamp.
They can order their own stamp, or, all you really need is something with a date on it. You can probably buy off the shelf, but as long as it's unique to them and with their color, I'm not proposing that there be any particular thing on the stamp. If y'all think that would be helpful, that's fine.
So to be clear, your reason for the stamp is to let whoever know which outfitter they're with. Is that your primary reason for the stamp?
Which bus to get on that, yeah.
Okay.
At one point, I suggested we reserve the right to be on the premises of the outfitter to observe operations.
Okay. David, can you add that in for us?
I'm good with that. And then do we want to handle the signs, talk about the signs that?
Well, the signs are
That's what.
addressed in the ordinance from the committee. If you want to change that, that's fine, but I think they...
No, I don't want, I just wanted to make sure that we're including that
Yes.
they will, and that money will use, the county will provide the signs with the money collected from.
Yeah, everything we do will be with the money collected.
Right, okay, and, okay, and those are to go on the, what was it? No trespassing signs, and then the mile markers eventually as they do that, and then rules of the thing, okay?
Now, the mile markers, as I understand it, will have to have property owner permission to put those there. I don't anticipate there'll be a problem, but,
Yeah, right.
but I'm just throwing it out, but we'll
Right.
have to have permission for those.
So I'm okay with this because obviously you two are for the stamp. I would prefer to have the wristband in place. Can we try this for this year, and if it doesn't work, I hate to come back to this too, because it's just no fun. But I think all of these things we've set up lead us to a much better season.
And we can come back anytime and change our ordinance.
Okay.
It's not enjoyable, but
Yeah.
it's what we can do.
And then to clarify, the sheriff's deputies will be down there Saturday and Sunday, from Memorial Day through Labor Day.
Well, that's our objective, and of course, I can't speak for the sheriff. I think he's on board with that.
But that's our goal. I just wanted to
That's
let.
our goal, yes.
Okay. Okay. Just verify that. Okay.
We would like to have a deputy there both weekend days. Because a lot of that is people's condition when they come off the river. Even though we're banning coolers and such, somebody's going to figure out how to get alcohol there. And that's why I say if somebody comes off that river, we're roaring drunk. We need to. But we got to put a stop to that. 90% of every bit of the problems we have right now, in my opinion, are alcohol related.
I'm good with that. That's, the only other thing I think, and it may be in the ordinance, was, our public safety director approves the,
Yeah.
plan
That's in the ordinance.
Okay, okay, I think he wanted to make a few changes, but I think he was gonna,
The changes that y'all were presented with were actually not done by myself. I think they were done by the committee, so I'll go in and pick those changes up, and then I'll incorporate the changes that you all were discussed here this morning, and then circulate that for y'all to look at. And if there's any other changes, I mean, y'all will be discussing it at your March meeting, and those changes can be incorporated into it. Okay?
okay, I'll do that.
Or at our special call, I think.
Yeah.
We're going to be having.
Yeah, because I know they are anxious to get their, it'll be,
Yeah.
they've got to get their insurance and all, and get things scheduled. Usually by now, I think they've got their business letter.
Yeah, I would not, I would encourage the outfitters to go ahead and make application for their permits and go ahead and get their insurance together. And if Keith has any consequential significant changes to that river use plan, to go ahead and incorporate that in. I think it's an application, about an 8 or 9 page application. So I'd have him go ahead and incorporate that.
I'll get with him today about highlighting whatever changes to the current proposal he'd like to see.
Yeah, let's not impede their business operations. Let's go ahead and get this ready
Right.
together, and that way, I mean, some of them may actually begin operations as soon as April's here, so let's go ahead and get them in place.
Yeah, we need to get it done.
I wasn't here with the discussion, and this is a few years back. I had someone approach me about possibly being an outfitter to go from where the previous, remember Boogie Rivers back then, when they went and put in it, the old Walmart, for lack of a better term, the name changes, but to put in there and take out at the county park, river park area right there. And then I said that I would ask the board, because I didn't know how that worked, and I said that if you do that, I'm assuming that they would pay the same fee, but that's a county property that they take out.
County property, so they would be subject to the same guidelines, pay the same fees.
Right, okay. But you were okay with that? Or the board is okay with that, but,
I don't see how we can reasonably turn them down on that. The only real concern that I would have with it is being able to arrange the additional security at that point. Because if that becomes a commercial takeout, for lack of a better word,
right.
we're gonna have security there too. Or we'll end up with the same problems there that we've been having out there. So,
Right. But if they follow these rules, and then, that's not a for sure, just someone approached me asking, and I said, let me check. I wasn't,
I don't think that we can tell them they can't do that, as long as we're allowing other commercial folks to take it out of bubble.
right, okay.
Figured you guys up here. There's 2 pipes you gotta go across to go down. Kevin, like, already explained this 2 years ago, you weren't involved with that, was the traps. I mean, if that's gonna be opened up, we're in awesome. So, we'll do it. On the paper, when you're saying you want sequential numbers and each person has to sign, or families, what have you, but you got to pay for those, you got to pass them out, or we have to pay for them. How is that going?
How are you doing your life?
Right now, what we have is we have basically our waiver is set on the table. It's land-based, relevant, what have you. So then we have a line item, like 1 through 20, and then you have a rental, parent signs, and then sign for the child. So we have 1 through 20, and then if you have 3 dependents, you just put them, John, Bob, Mary, there you go, on there. So if you're gonna have sequential numbers, you're basically having a lot more paperwork. Correct.
So you're saying that you can get up to 20 signatures on one page?
Well, we have more than that because we have parents sign for their dependents. Okay, so if they have 3 kids, They put, they put Charlie Parish, and then you print, sign your name, and then you put, Mary Bob and Bob, right there.
But what I'm asking though is that you don't have one page dedicated to one party.
No, it goes throughout, we keep, and we have our area that we have. Because, we have to have the insurance, and so.
Now, is this on a currently hard copy, or is it something that you
It's
use
just
a
a paper,
computer?
I mean, it's just.
Charlie, I don't mean to interject here, Charlie, but I don't think I would relinquish the form of the document to the outfitters, because then you'll have inconsistency between the two outfitters, or a third outfitter, should another outfitter come into play. I think it needs to be a form that the board has officially adopted, and then it just simply needs to be a duplicate. It doesn't need to be, I don't think it needs to be a triplicate, and then that number, when you're talking sequential, you're just talking the form, not the signature, so you're just talking like the first document would be 0001 or 21-0001 for this right year.
And honestly, I don't care if you make the form up in Word and print them out, as long as they all print them out the same.
Well, we have to keep them on hand,
Yeah.
our person.
Yeah.
We can't, we have to have them all.
That's their protection as well, so I think it would be, it's not a consequential expense to do it as a duplicate form, so I really do believe that just to have consistency, and knowing how those forms are going to come into the county and everything, and honestly, you're probably going to want some recognition or something on those forms, so that at the top that, and I know Woody's suggesting that they have something laminated there to the side of it, but you probably going to want something at the top.
It's sitting on top. We have the main pieces on top saying no alcohol soda on top. And then underneath, we have, 1 through 20. And then again, we have, print, sign, and then the pen.
Yeah, and we can work with them to make a mutually acceptable form, but I do believe it needs to be a duplicate, and it may be a triplicate. I don't think the cost will be too much increase. However, the paper is going to be much cheaper than the wristband, so y'all are already incurring the fee for the wristband at this point in time.
What you could do, because we have a double side. I'm not trying to tell you guys how to do it, but we stay with the same type format, bring it to you, and then what you can do is that Xerox machine, which you shove in, and it does the 2 sides. You have a copy, and then each outfitter gets their copy back. It makes it easy. I'm not saying I know more than you guys, but I'm just trying to eliminate a cost structure out of it. Because you got to try to, each person.
Yeah, that seems kind of labor intensive.
For Xerox machine?
If we're gonna run every single sheet through.
No, you put them in like a group, and then you just don't, and then you get your copy, we get ours, you got a box.
Yeah, the only thing about that, Woody, and I can tell you from my personal experience, is when we receive a large batch of documents from a client and they've not been kept in a climate-sensitive environment, they curl, they get broken, they get torn, and the moment you feed that into that, you're hand feeding at that point in time because it gets stuck.
Well, it is, it rains, it's not a closed environment, so that's correct. It will, humidity and so forth, we aren't in Alaska, so there is humidity, so it will curl. So yeah, that would be true.
As far as triplets, I don't see any need for triplicate.
I think duplicates are sufficient. It provides them with, they can keep the copy and y'all get the original, or they get the original and y'all get a copy. It doesn't really matter. It just, it identifies the participants, and so.
One thing another, what we've had is, like, let's say Charlie, you actually get on, what she said. Charlie gets on, he brings it in, correct? He doesn't understand how to fill it out, because they don't read it. I'm just going out. So I'm gonna put Charlie Parish, big thing, and put Charlie Parish, and then kid. Then put Charlie Parish, and then kid. And then Charlie Parish, and then kid. So that means now you're looking at, instead of it being just 3 people, you're looking at 6, right? But if it don't, I mean, it's just, nobody reads through the whole piece, the process, how it works, all that stuff. I mean, I do it, I've done it. I mean, we got a t-shirt, not this one, but I got a t-shirt. You know. So you got, I mean, if we come up with a simpler way, which is doing it, but we have to somehow figure out where everybody is, I mean, nobody is.
I think we can come up with a simpler way. I mean, for one thing, just have a line at the top, total number of people.
But that doesn't serve him in the event that he's wanting, because if you got you got 5 adults and he only collects a signature from one of the adults, he didn't collect a signature from the other 4.
Each adult has to sign on
Yeah,
whatever they have.
It's
If they have dependents, then they may list them over here on dependents, or they may not.
Well,
I mean, we can kind of keep it straight, as straight as possible, and maybe circle, I don't know, it'd be more.
Well, I was referencing your example where it's Charlie Perry's independent, Charlie Perry's independent. You know, they'll still do that, but just at the top, total number of people, 3.
You hope, I mean,
And it doesn't have to be that. I mean, this is, you know, I don't want to make this
I
real complex.
eliminate all this and just move on, because, I mean, we got our marketing set up and everything, and we're set right already, I'm not gonna ask what we usually have. Go.
I don't want to take what should be simple and make it complex, so.
Yeah.
But anything, so let me just say from my perspective, anything that gives us an accurate count, a verifiable count, I'm fine with it.
I mean, we'll do our best to look at it and get it to you. I mean, I'll just give you the backside, but here you go. Have it. I mean, but we have a double-sided piece, and so that way we get 40 plus signatures, not including dependents on it. Okay? So, I'm just trying to eliminate the cost process, and that's what we have. And that's why we have to keep them on hand, and we have to keep them like 3 years or something like that.
Yeah, but Woody, I mean,
We've had to actually go back and get them and say, look at that side.
yeah, I was gonna say, they're equally as protective for you as they are beneficial to the county. So I realize that you are suggesting that you're trying to expedite that process, but I don't know that that's necessarily in the interest or best interest of the business. All it takes is one missing signature and one serious accident, and you could get in serious trouble.
Well, yeah,
So-
everybody has to sign it, that's just,
So-
we've had that.
I can do something what Charlie's suggestion to put total to party, because the county's going to be concerned or wants to know the number of the party, and then you can ensure that the signatures are there. I mean, that's the important thing.
Yeah, if you could do, but if you could put, 20 on the line and put the penance or something of that nature, I mean, I'll bring you that. You can have it on. Say, my father's not already.
If you'll share with us what you got, and then we'll incorporate it into the duplicate form. But that duplicate form's it's inconsequential. Sandy, have you priced duplicate forms lately? I mean, but it's going to be much cheaper than the wristband.
cheaper than the wristbands.
Much cheaper.
Anything that gives us a verifiable number at the end of the day, all I care about.
So you're not getting rid of the duplicate copy, Charlie, correct? No, okay, I'm just clarifying that for you to understand that too. They're still gonna have to sign.
On the fence, Charlie, I guess when Mr. Who was it, county commissioner, before you?
Before me or before
Before you.
J.C. Sanford?
Mr. J.C. Sanford. He eliminated, there's a guardrail there, which looks like the roof down. So he implemented, put their rocks down there, and he said, hey, what would you do there? I said, well, with these rocks down there, you can't drive in it. Now, let's say you put a sign, we'll put a sign up there, but let's say we put a sign up, 2 of them on that rock saying, all participants of water activity have to stay behind the sign until loading. Let's not put a fence up. The minute you put a fence up, you've already created us, let's just say this is the garbage bin, okay? At first, we had no garbage bins, so we were able to load from here and here, correct? Now, you put this garbage bin up, now, we had to move from this area, now we had to shift all the way over. So now we're here. You're gonna, if you can do this, like I was talking about earlier, half, and let's put porta-johns in there, close it up during the off-season, get rid of them. All right, because, I mean, we've had people do stupid things outside. I mean, so if you can eliminate and give us an area load, get rid of the sign, put the sign up, and just say, hey, all participants of river, loading, unloading on this side of the sign only, please wait or something. There's a quick and easy way of doing it. I mean, we'll put signs up anywhere, let's just do it down there, and that'll eliminate that problem.
I should mention, when I say putting the fence up, I'm just talking about a split rail type fence, not a big privacy fence, but, and I don't really care about that. If we can put signs up and people will actually stand back there, great, I have no problem with that.
Well, they will.
But if
They'll
they ignore
stand
it,
back there. As long as it's clean, but right now, I mean, like, you saw, I mean,
it'll be clean. And there's nothing says we can't just start out with signs, and if they do ignore them, then we'll come in and put a split rail fence in.
Well, the bad thing about it is once you put a split rail fence up, and we're gonna have another, we're gonna eliminate an area for us to get in and out. We've already taken away 16 feet, correct?
I don't see why the fence, it'll be where the rocks are, so I don't see what you're losing.
Well, we load up through there. So
Fences.
we load up equipment through there. So then we're gonna narrow everything down to a one area, correct?
Yes.
Is what we're loading. So we're loading up, so now we're going from this, which is, that's where the trailer's at, to here, that's where we load up. Now we're gonna go from here to there, correct? Where we load up. That's what we're proposing, correct? So we're taking away another.
We're probably
50
taking away,
feet of loaded up area.
we're probably taking away 25% of your area there.
If you're gonna put a fence up all the way up
Well,
to the
then,
rocks,
as far as the
not all the way
fence is
across, but I mean, let's say the walk area, up to the walk area.
As far as the fence is concerned, that's gonna be going across from where y'all's bus is. Your bus doesn't come down the back where that fence will be. So that's just to keep people behind from coming out onto the paved area there.
Yeah, let's put a couple of signs up, see if it works, if it doesn't, then we'll
He's
put a
saying,
fence up.
he's saying because he has piles and piles of tubes all over there. And it's
Yeah,
got
we have people.
Pile of tubes.
And
But
put
I
tubes
think
up.
the tubes are gonna, I mean, our whole goal is to keep all of the people in the tubes behind the fence so that the buses cannot, you
So
know.
how are you gonna keep the tubes and the people behind the fence and everything? I mean, show me that.
It's gonna be questioned, that's
Well,
gonna be up to.
that's where the security will come in.
So how are we gonna, all right, so you're telling me that we're gonna have to get all the people off and the tubes all at the same time?
What I'm telling you
We're
is,
gonna eliminate another 40, let's just say, it's more than 25%. Let's say we're gonna eliminate 40% of the voting.
what I'm telling you is that particular site is completely inadequate for what you want to do and what y'all have been doing, and we all know that. You need a place probably 3 times that size at least, but that's not what we have. That's not what's available.
Yeah.
We have to make what we've got work,
Yeah.
which means there's going to be some compromises. And one of those is going to be that the people can't be all over that paved area where the buses come in, where the residents try to drive through.
Yeah.
They need to stay behind where that fence is, which would start where the big rocks are.
All right, is there any way you can eliminate half of this little trailer mess that we got? Because you saw inside that fence what it was trash. It's been trash. It's been trash since we did first start. They don't clean it up, nobody cleans it up. Eliminate that. Get rid of half. I mean, just half. I mean, right now, you're taking away that whole section. And we're trying to be efficient as possible. I've been in logistics since I got out of college. And I know if you eliminate 40% of an area of loading, that's a heck of a loss. A heck of a loss. I'm not, being seizures, I know it, because I know what logistics is. Logistics is get in and out as quick as possible and as efficient as possible.
Let me
That's all
ask you this.
logistics.
If we remove that area,
To take away that other piece.
if we take away the little fenced area where the trailer is, will that give you everything you need that will be done with the discussion?
Yeah, and let's work on the signs. Let's see if the signs.
Well, there's a second part to that though,
Yeah.
and that is somebody's gonna have to keep that place cleaned up.
We did it before you guys put the trailer down. That was our job. We've done it before. We did it prior to the Travis tax came into play. Okay, we did it prior to. All right, we didn't wait. And if you walk down there now, whatever the garbage cans, that's why we pick them up, put them inside, because people don't leave trash down there. But we've done that for years. I'm not worried about trash. That's something we pick up, we clean up every year on the river. Picked up 2,000 or 2,800 pounds, something like that, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when, before the corona. Yeah, we'll pick up trash, I'm not worried about that.
Tomorrow night, when we have this particular discussion, let's include a discussion as to if we want to do that.
You don't want to discuss it? What do you want to do?
I mean, if we can discuss it now, that'd be great, because I've got stuff,
I think it's helped, I think it's helped a lot with the trash, and they take turns picking up and putting it in that. Otherwise, where are they gonna put the trash?
Always bring up trash.
I suggested tomorrow night, just in case somebody wanted to go out there and take a look at it, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't see the problem.
And the thing about it is, you guys put that building up without asking any of it. Correct?
I thought it was county property.
No, asking any outfitter for not for recommendations, but for recommendations of how to do it quicker and efficiently. We know what's going on. We've been doing it. I mean, that's something, I mean, you guys don't own that business. You don't actually own the process of doing that business. All you do is the county owns that area. You don't own how it's done, how efficiently it's done, how to do logistics on it.
We actually do own whatever takes place on that property.
Hmm?
We actually do own.
No, you own that, but you don't, tell me how, so how do we pick up people? It's not buses, it's in vans, okay? How do we pick up the equipment? Well, we had to go out and get bigger equipment, bigger, taller trailers, so we can get them off quicker with things on it, so we can drive them more efficient. We had to do that. And you don't know the process of it. I mean, other than Miss Karleen standing up there and eyeballing everybody every busy month or every busy week. Other than that, she doesn't know the process. She's seen it, but doesn't know how it's done, how we have to get everybody coordinated to get everybody picked up efficiently, quickly. You don't want people standing around, because then that's when chaos comes. They stand around for 15 minutes on each side.
Would you agree that there has been chaos there?
This last year was, I've never seen it. There was none. Like the sheriff, Mr. Nicholson said, the year before, 2020, if anybody can come up with any good positive reaction to 2020 other than great weather, let me know, please. I mean, tell me something that's greatly positive.
You know, in my opinion, it may be that the outfitters have to regulate and time out how they put people on the river and not just constantly.
How do you regulate getting them off the river?
Well, by the way you put them on. Yeah,
They all flew at the same speed?
There are other rivers, there are other outfitters and other rivers that don't only let so many people go on at certain, at 30-minute, 15-minute increments. I'm not sure
But
exactly.
they still
They're
all
different.
float at the same speed, so they'll be on at the same time, at 15 minutes increments off.
If someone started out 30 minutes before, then chances are that group is going to get off about the same time.
Chances
So-
are, what happens if they
It's not an
suck? What
exact
happens if
science.
they suck?
We can't
Yeah, that's
come
what
up,
I'm saying.
we can't come up with every
But yeah,
possibility.
But if we can eliminate this, that would eliminate a whole section, and then we could, let's do cost effective first, cost
Okay.
efficient first.
I understand, I just don't see that it's taking up that much room, but I'll go out and take another look at it.
Well, you want me to, I tell you what, let me know and I'll pull the trailer down. I'll get two of them and pull them down, and that way you can look. Then we'll do it that way. I mean, we'll just, everybody's from Missouri, so let's, we're showing me, and I'll bring two trailers down there and stack them side by side, and then you can see.
Is it double loaded?
So
Are you double loading down there?
there's two trailers trying to get in and out as quickly as possible to get them back up top.
That may be some of your solution is to single load. I mean,
Can't. Then you're gonna have tubes from the start of the road all the way out to the water. And we've done
and
that.
I think that's what Karleen's alluding to, is your time and your put-ins a little, I mean, I know not everybody floats down the river at the same time, but if they're not stopping, they're gonna generally be within the same relevant period unless there's a rain event.
What I hear you saying is, we're dealing with a situation that's not possible to deal with.
No, we're dealing.
And the other option,
If we just eliminate, give us another area and then give us that, get rid of that, and we'll take care of the trash. The trash is the easiest part. That's the easy, I'm not worried about trash. Cleaning up is the easiest part. I mean, it takes a couple of hours to clean up. I got buddies of mine that help me. I mean, the river people help me. It's easy, that's easy. We're trying to make something out of nothing. And it's, because last year was nuts, and we had one lady, Miss Nancy, went berserk because she showed up every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, and then she'd just sit there with her dog off the chain and just let her dog go crazy, and then she would complain. And then we'd get one complaint, and then one complaint every day would go to Miss Karleen, and Miss Karleen would then come down or whatever, but Nancy was the biggest, and she's not there whenever 4th of July weekend, I can name 5 weekends out of every Sunday. And that's it. So, I mean, if we can eliminate a couple of areas that we can load, be faster, quicker, easy, put a couple of signs up saying, please, all patrons, stay behind until loading time and what have you. I mean, we got people down there that work it also. My daughter works it. My son works it, so, well, I mean, not really. I mean, he's underage, so I don't want to be hit by a child labor law. But he does work. So get rid of that section. And if it doesn't stay clean, I will personally rebuild that thing a lot better and actually level. Make it look good and not look bad. If it doesn't work, I will personally pay for it myself and build it a lot better looking than what it is right now. And level.
We will take that into consideration, Buddy.
And I'll use a level on it. And screws.
I'd like an opportunity for me to be able to ride down there and see how much space that thing takes up before we would continue the discussion. If we could continue that part of it tomorrow.
And also, Charlie, if you do show up down there, I will bring a trailer down there, and that way you can actually see it and see what it does and all that stuff. That way it helps everybody up there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It would help out your mind's eye. So everything else is, do whatever. I mean, we're.
All right, thank you, Woody.
we done?
if you are.
Do I need to show up tomorrow night too?
Well,
Oh, really?
I'm gonna leave that to you.
Well, what time is the meeting tomorrow night?
6 o'clock.
Alright, sweet.
Is there anything else that we need to discuss on the river ordinance?
No, thank you.
I think I might have to add a little cough to my side effects. Okay. Discussion and possible action over revised land use ordinance. We have anything other, from the other day that we need to talk about?
Not me.
Okay. So, moving right along. Discussion and possible action on forming board of elections. I don't know how much of this I've relayed to y'all, but I did have a conversation with Scott about this, with Judge Chastain. When I got to looking around some at elections boards, what I found is that, yeah, almost all counties have them, but a lot of counties are having a lot of problems with them. Fulton County right now in particular is having problems with their election board in that they're refusing to honor legal requests for various documents. And they can do that without the government having any say in it because they're the election board. We heard about problems in Fannin County where those folks won't speak to each other. And we heard that from the election folks here. Which is really more related to my concern, that I don't believe two parties can hold a civil conversation between themselves nowadays. What I discussed with Scott was, if this has become a bigger job, and that's his take on it, that, he knew it was part of the job, but that elections have become so contentious and so minutely monitored now that it's a much greater responsibility and much more work now in the election environment that we have than it ever has been before. And he makes a good point. What I discussed with him was the possibility that rather than go with an election board, how about you look at what it would take to reconfigure your office and add some additional personnel maybe to offload some of that from you. It would still be his responsibility. He'd still be the chief election officer, but he would have the help that he needs that would make up for the fact that it's a lot bigger job now than it used to be. So he's going to look at it from that perspective, and I've basically indicated to him that until we look at that alternative, we're probably not going to move further on election board. So that's where we are, and I'm going to ask that when I've asked her to put election board just on every one of them. I'm going to ask her now to take that off, not put that on there unless we specifically say that we need it on there for a particular meeting. And we'll see what Scott comes up with what could he do within the confines of his office with some additional personnel that would solve the problem short of an election board.
I think that's fantastic, because what we've done, that group has done a fantastic job, a great job with our election. So I just hate to.
And they're, I won't say the only county, but pretty close that had what I would deem to be a flawless election.
And I know there are representation of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party there that help.
Yeah.
And so Tammy's done a great job with that, including both and allowing both theirs to launch. So I'm grateful.
And I will say this, I made a comment, I think the first time we ever discussed this, when I first mentioned that I'm not sure there could be a civil discourse between the two parties. And I think I said that if there could be, that Gilmer County would be the place that there could. I think I felt that we could have that here. My belief has been seriously shaken by simply going to the Democrat Party Facebook page and reading the comments.
Shouldn't go to your church.
Yeah, that was
stay in your lane.
immediately obvious. But the vow that I saw there makes me question, whether we can have a civil discourse. But that aside, I think a better solution is for Scott to analyze how much extra work's involved and reconfigure and get her some additional help. And I think that'd be a better solution, but that's just me.
I'm great with that. Because it's not like we can't do it down the road if we feel like we need to.
Sure.
But for right now, to keep doing what we're doing and have both represent.
Exactly. Now, I did assure him that should there be an effort to go to the state and have it imposed on us, that we would fight it tooth and nail, and then I was very confident that ACCG would support us in that, because they take the default position of home rule. So, that was a very civil conversation. It sounds like we got contentious. We did not. So,
That wasn't my question.
no, this was, Scott had been very, very cooperative. Every conversation we've had has been very civil. We have no problems in terms of a wedge between us and the probate judge. That's not a problem, and I'm grateful for that. Is there anything else on the elections board? The last thing that we mentioned was the Kusawati lot. We advertised that for bid a few months back, and we put a minimum $500 bid on that, and we got nothing. I'd like to propose tomorrow night that we advertise this for bid again and put a $50 minimum on it.
Why even put a minimum?
Do we have to put a minimum?
How about a nominal dollar?
That will work.
Because if a bidder submits something that doesn't have a bid on it, then I don't think.
That's fine.
Yeah, how about a nominal dollar?
Yeah, that would be good. We are never going to do anything with that property, ever. Right now, we just sit and pay the annual dues on it, so the county will be infinitely better off if we could just get that in the hands of somebody that will build a house on it or use it somewhere. Okay, anything else on that? Next item is consideration of possible action on request to have roads added to the road paving list. We have had another request for Tavern on the Hill Road. So, where's this?
Just getting on the list does not,
I have, everybody who has ever requested to have a road put on the list, I've been very specific with them then. Because it's on the list does not mean that pavement is imminent.
I understand.
So, and so they're clear on that.
You also had a request from Mount Zion, that resurfacing was.
Right. So you're saying Tavern on the Hill? And then we have in our, good with the Mount Zion request.
Really ought to add Henry Evans Road, at least the part that goes out to the line.
Right.
There's a lot of of traffic, and it's a good base on that, what it looks like. Jim shaking his
He
head.
said no.
A lot of traffic there on Sundays and Saturdays.
Ignore that man behind the curtain.
Just because it's on the list doesn't mean it's done.
Oh.
So that's three we've added, right?
I'm not sure I understand why we have to be on the list before it's done, but, it is, in our charter, I believe. Okay. Any other roads? All right.
That you had to go fast.
Good, yeah. I mean, the only reason right now that we're not getting daily requests is because most people aren't aware that they have to be on the list.
Maybe it's time to change the ordinance.
Yeah, we might really want to look at that.
I'm good.
Okay, final decision by the Gilmer County Board of Commissioners for the recommendation of the Planning Commission regarding the application for amendment to Gilmer County land use for Brenda Bonner. This is R1 residential low density to R1 residential low density with conditional use. As I recall, I think they're wanting to turn the home that's on that lot, on that land lot, into a guest house and then build I think about a 3,100 square foot home there. Karen couldn't be here for this, but she told me that there was no opposition to it at all.
I have no problem.
Now, she probably needs to clean the approval up then, because on page 2, it's not clear. It says recommended approval, and then
I didn't know if they approved it or not.
and it has a hyphen denial, so I wasn't sure which way it was going. Yeah, so that y'all know which what you're doing.
Request of approval of the application of Karleen for an alcoholic beverage license. Is that, okay. Karen says that everything is squared away on this, it's ready to go. And then she has informed these folks, I'm not going to make another attempt at pronouncing it, but that they're well aware that the lady has to be here since the application's in her name, that she must be present tomorrow night for it to be approved. So they're aware of that. Discussion and possible action of approval of a senior magistrate judge. My question is that do we have to approve that? We do? Okay.
Statute says subject to.
Subject to approval by the, okay. I don't have a problem with it if that's what he wants.
Well, the only problem was, or to me, the only problem is, immediately after he took office, he decided he needed someone to mentor him. And maybe 6 months. Now we're talking about 4 years. And this has not been funded, and I would not, at this point, we're not voting for funding it next year. We funded it, whatever was requested this year. So I don't,
It's my understanding, and I'll clarify this with him, that the funding that we approved for mentoring would be what would be used this year.
but come next budget time, I'm just saying, unless I know something more, I will not approve funding for the position. So does he need to know that, or
I'll let him know.
or does somebody need to convince me something different?
Well, one of the two.
I just got a little frustrated when you first took office.
Yeah.
You didn't have a mentor when you took office.
Well, that what do they call it, trial by fire?
Hubert, I agree. I thought it was 6 months to maybe a year. I did not notice that, so thank you for bringing that.
If it comes up tomorrow night, my vote is no,
Okay.
based on funding.
I will have a discussion with you about that, so we've got a little more information on it tomorrow night.
So I'm clear, y'all are maybe considering limiting the term of the resolution to a calendar year?
If it's approved at all.
Okay, I'll research that as well, so.
I mean, it makes it look like we're going against the judges, which is not a good thing. So I need to temper what I said before it gets in the paper.
Well, yeah, find a little,
Well,
easier way, maybe just.
I'm just a little concerned about the issue, and I think the good would know more by tomorrow night.
Yeah, so we should know more about that. And do I need to ask him to be here? Because we can do that.
I think if we just know, well, I mean, I don't care either way, but if we know if that's normal, then that is a normal.
I can
If
get
that's
that.
suggested by whoever,
I can get it.
it's not.
No, but he has asked for an associate judge.
Yeah, doesn't have to be part of this letter.
Which might be something that we just throw out there, because that we approved it for the probate judge.
But isn't this a new position? Because the probate judge was.
The probate judge is not a
person.
Yeah.
The position
It was
was
not a mentor type position.
It was a person who's already on the payroll.
Oh, yeah, right.